joke, I've been a money maker. I've been a record breaker, taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky thing. Popping, lock and stop and let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip hop, it's like it stings. We make a whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk. We gotta have that funk. We kick it old school. We think we're so cool. We take it back to the past. We go act a fool.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Sports Buzz, a Fanatical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio Comcast Cable, Channel 23, downtown Danbury, Connecticut, on this April 11th. One more day of work for me, and then I'm on vacation. And my right-hand man, Mr. Bob Broad Jr. as well. Spring break.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever gone on vacation for a spring break before.
What's up?
Officially, so this is kind of a cool and new thing for me, which is great. As Bob dealing with technical difficulties as we get the show. Oh, we are good. So yes, that's what's happening, and I am counting down the hours to head out of town on Saturday.
Yeah,
head out of country.
You're going out of country. I'm just going down Pennsylvania. I'm going down to Hershey.
Hopefully you get some decent weather. There's been like some tornado bombs, cyclone bombs in the Midwest of the country.
Yeah, they got
2.5 feet of snow and
Oof,
stuff. It's
April,
April, for Christ's sake. What is going on in this weather world we got? So hopefully in Pennsylvania you're okay.
Yeah, weather's supposed to be nice, so.
Oh, that's good to hear. Let's officially say hello to Mr. Bob Broad Jr. over there. How you doing there, Bob?
I'm doing well. I'm just counting down the hours.
Right. What do you guys hit the road Saturday morning?
Saturday night.
Saturday night. Okay.
Yeah, we got a few things to do first, and then Saturday night we go.
Works out well. Bob will be away next week. I'll be away next week. The show will be off.
We'll be off, but you know, next week's Easter though.
Easter at the end of the week, and we should mention that the firefighters on Mill Plain Firehouse has their annual flower sale.
Yes, we will, from 8 o'clock till probably whatever closing.
And it's each day? Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
Sunday we're usually there from like 8 o'clock in the morning until like about noon.
Okay, yeah, it's Sunday, on Easter Sunday, but you can still last-minute shopping even on Easter Sunday morning. Mill Plain Firehouse. So that's Easter weekend, not this weekend, following weekend. Get over there for that. And we were just talking off air. Let's get through this quick, Bob, because there is a ton to get to.
Okay.
But I do want to hear what you're saying about Uncle Sam.
Yes. Uncle Sam is coming back to town.
Coming back to Danbury.
Yes. He's the tallest Uncle Sam in the country.
Tallest, so big, huge statue, Uncle Sam, and he was made, what'd you say, 1971?
1971.
And he was on the fairgrounds, the Danbury Fair.
For 10 years, and then they shipped him up to, after the auction, the Magic Forest in Lake George bought him.
Really?
And then they just had an auction within the last, I don't know, about 4 or 5 months that they were getting rid of figurines, so the city bought him back.
So Danbury is bringing him home. Why don't they put him down there in like Rogers Park?
But they want to put, he's, I guess Mark was looking at
I just want to go see him at a Westerners game or something.
I know. Well, but I guess, you know, the mayor was looking at different locations, and I guess that was the only location.
Downtown over by the train station?
Yeah, he's going to be on Patriot Drive, so.
That's a good spot for him.
Yeah.
We will welcome him back. Is there going to be a big unveiling?
I guess so.
Maybe that'll end up on Spotlight on Bob's show Tuesday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 12. You can check that out, or maybe if that gets on there or something like that, or whatever else he's got going on. I should mention the whole family's here tonight, Jenna, Connor, and Jolene, all in the green room staring at their phones aimlessly. And our director, David Suero, and Tyler in there running audio.
Yes.
Before the show, they were staring at their phones aimlessly as well. It's the way the world is.
Hey,
speaking of phones, the phone lines are open.
It's the age of technology, right? Imagine 10 years ago, we didn't have any of this.
Right. 203-792-4101 is the number. If you have vacation plans, anywhere you're going on spring break, you want to call and let us know. We'll be happy to talk vacation, or we'll be happy to talk sports.
Yes.
Plenty to get to. Stanley Cup playoffs underway starting last night. Tonight, it's Toronto at Boston again.
Good luck, Boston.
Well, hopefully. I mean, this is a third time in recent years. Last year, of course, they went 7 with Toronto.
Right.
7 years ago, they went 7 with Toronto, and this was the epic comeback game when they were down by 3 goals late in the third period. They scored the 4 goals in the final 9 minutes of the game, including 2 goals with their goalie pulled on the other end.
I remember that.
To rally for the win and advance, and they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. That was the year they lost to the Blackhawks. They did not win that year. So that was heartbreak for Toronto. Last year, of course, they were up 3-1 against Toronto, and Toronto tried to return the favor by rallying and forcing a Game 7 in that epic game that also saw the Bruins score 4 goals again in the third period. That was, I think, a 7-4 final, that wild back and forth early action, and then the Bruins pulled away. And, of course, historically, there's been many battles between Toronto and Boston. The one game in particular in the early days of Bobby Orr,
yes.
And this is the game that was said to, start the trend of the big bad Bruins. And it was Pat Quinn who took the cheap shot against Bobby Orr, knocked him flat out, but Bobby Orr did return for the remainder of that series, and they did beat them. The Boston fans gave Quinn the business as well. They tried to get him as he was in the penalty box. So long storied history, and of course, Toronto, 50 years and counting without a Stanley Cup championship. The country of Canada, 26 years and counting without a Stanley Cup.
Right.
It was 93 when those Montreal Les Habitants Canadiens last won it against the LA Kings. And that was the last time a team from Canada won. And Montreal, oh, too bad. They're not in the playoffs again this year. What is going on with the Canadians? They can't even make the playoffs anymore. The curse of Patrick Roy lives on. Trading him away was the worst thing they could have ever done.
Hey, that's
and
like,
the Boston fans know curses, and I know for a fact that they are true, and you never know how long they'll last.
Well, look at the curse of the babe. It lasted over 100 and some years, right?
Well, no, 86 years. Come on. Other big teams that are missing the playoffs, your Rangers are out, the Flyers are out, the Red Wings are out.
So I'll be rooting for the Islanders.
The Blackhawks also fired their coach mid-season with their recent Stanley Cup wins. The Kings fired their coach today with their Stanley Cup recent wins. They were the dead last, I think, the worst team in all of hockey.
I got something.
What do you got?
Well, I got to thank my wife for this, my wife Jolene. Since we're going to Hershey, right? She got us tickets to go see the Hershey Bears versus the Hartford Wolfpack.
Right.
For the last game of the season.
Last game. All right. Well, that'll be exciting. Get some minor league hockey.
Yeah.
Also games tonight. Carolina at defending Stanley Cup champion Washington. Colorado. The Avalanche did complete that late season surge, and the Avs are back in. Speaking of the Patrick Roy curse, of course, they traded him to Colorado all those years ago.
Right.
And Quebec also is feeling cursed at this moment because that was the Quebec Nordiques franchise, if you remember. And in the first year, they all of a sudden magically get Patrick Roy, some other great players, and a Stanley Cup championship.
Yeah.
Should have been Quebec's. But Colorado at Calgary. Last night, the playoffs got underway with the Islanders beating the Penguins 4-3 in overtime. A wild back-and-forth game. 1-0, 2-1, 3-2, 4-3 final. Islanders get game 1 at home against the Penguins, and Trotz and his new team. Really hasn't been that much talk about Trotz.
No.
The head coach leaving unceremoniously Washington after winning last year and going to the Islanders.
Right.
But here he is leading the Islanders.
Anybody that beats the Penguins, I'm happy for.
And the other games that took place last night, Columbus rallying against Tampa, down 3-0. They win 4-3 against the Tampa team that broke all kind of records for most wins and points. Epic season. They're going to feel the pressure if they fall behind. St. Louis beat the Jets, Winnipeg 2-1 last night, and Dallas beat Nashville 3-2 last night. And San Jose beat up on Vegas.
Yes.
Remember, Vegas made the run to the finals last year, second season.
Year in the
But San Jose Sharks, the Sharks, 5-2 winners over Vegas last night. So the Stanley Cup playoffs underway, fast and furious action. I'll be tuned in tonight, Toronto, Boston. Champions League back underway. The quarterfinals got going on Tuesday, but yesterday it was Barcelona on the road at Manchester United, winning 1-0 in England before moving to the second leg next Tuesday at Camp Nou. A little hint to where I might be on my vacation.
Hey, Mike's here.
Maniac, he'll be walking in, but a little clue to where I'll be next week. There is a possibility I will be at that game on Tuesday. I have people with connections in Barcelona with tickets. I don't know if they're going to bring me to a La Liga game or if they're going to bring me to a Champions League game, but I'm hoping to go to that game on Tuesday. Also yesterday, it was Ajax in the Netherlands, 1-1 against Juventus as Ronaldo got the early goal. Ajax really had the better of this entire game. Lots of opportunities to score. They did cash in early in the second half to at least get the draw before heading back to Italy next week. On Tuesday, it was Tottenham 1-0 over Man City, and it was Liverpool against the Portuguese club Porto, FC Porto 2-0. So that's what happened in Champions League this week as they get back underway, and the second leg all takes place next week. So we'll know who's in the semifinal as we come back from vacation the following week after that. So that's exciting to see what's going on there. Big event happening today as well. Underway, the Masters.
Yes.
Hello, friends. In a tradition unlike any other down there in Augusta. -3 was the leaders. Rahm, Adam Scott, Harding from the United States. But lurking right behind, 16 players at -2, including one, Tiger Woods, Ricky Fowler, Kuchar, Woods. So get this, Bob. He hasn't won at the Masters since 2005.
Yeah. So hey, that's kind of
and he has
here.
and he hasn't won a major since 2008.
That's Jenna's birthday.
Also at -2, Dustin Johnson, Koepka, Kuchar. -1, you got Jason Day, Tommy Fleetwood, Bernard Langer, the old timer at -1.
That's a name you haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, some of these guys show up at the Masters. At even, Bubba Watson, Phil Mickelson, Jordan Spieth all the way down at +4. +1, Rory and Sergio. So the Masters underway today. College basketball, let's say hello. Actually, the Mike Maniac is here.
Yes.
Mic'd up. How you doing over there, Mike? Nice to see you.
I'm doing okay. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. We're now going to move on to college basketball. We'll talk Lady Huskies first. I watched most of this game. At least the second half I watched.
It was heartbreaking that they,
Up 9 in the fourth quarter. I haven't really gotten used to the fact that they play quarters now in women's basketball. It's definitely a different feel with the quarters.
I know. They started
the halves.
They started doing that up at WestCon this year too, and it took me a little while to get used to that.
It's definitely different. But so the Lady Huskies feel bad for the seniors who were not going to get their own championship. Some of them were on that team that won it when they were freshmen.
Right.
But that wasn't their team. One of them was injured even during that run. So they were looking to get, really some tough heartbreak. They lost in overtime in the semifinal to Notre Dame last year. 2 years ago, they lost on the buzzer beater, I think in regulation against, was that South Carolina?
Yeah.
So, they only lost a total of like 4 games, 5 games in their entire 3-year run here, yet no championship.
Right.
81-76 losing to Notre Dame. I thought offensive rebounding was the story. I didn't see, again, I wonder what the people in the media are watching. Nobody asked about that in the press conferences or after the game. Offensive rebounding clearly for Notre Dame was the story and the difference in this game. They couldn't get rebounds.
No.
shot making was unbelievable. Both teams making shots. The difference was you're not going to make every shot. And UConn was one and done on their end on the few times they missed. Notre Dame got second and third and fourth chance opportunities on some of their possessions when they didn't make shots, and that was the difference. So Notre Dame made it to the final, and they did lose to Baylor 82-81 in another game that was wild. 17-point lead for Baylor, and then their star player went down, broke her leg in two places, I think, and Notre Dame rallied. Actually, I think tied it, maybe even took the lead at one point, and it was back and forth. Baylor did end up with the win, so hats off to Baylor winning on the ladies' side. On the men's side, pretty wild as far as close games go. Overtime in the final. Virginia gets their first ever national championship, 85-77 in a thriller against Texas Tech. Much more high-scoring affair than what everybody thought would happen. Again, I have to scold the media. Beforehand, when it was, heading into the weekend, they're saying if it's Virginia, Texas Tech, don't even bother watching. It'll be a defensive slugfest, 60-56, something like that. I mean, give me a break. Just because Duke gets knocked out and North Carolina's not there and Kentucky's not there, why do you think that means that fans aren't going to be interested in seeing what happens with these teams? It's more exciting to see teams that hadn't been there before.
You don't want to keep seeing the same teams over and over and over.
And it's also a testament to the fact that these one-and-done schools, Duke is the leader of that now, can't get it done anymore. These teams that Virginia is sticking with their players after that heartbreak last year, losing in the first round. And they all come back and they gut it out after that heartbreak and disappointment. And they get all the way back with the close calls this year. They get there. Then you get teams like Texas Tech coming out of nowhere. But their coach, who's part of the Bobby Knight tree, and he was an assistant with Bobby Knight. And you forget, Bobby Knight ended his career in Texas Tech. And that's how this whole thing gets started. And that's how we end up with Texas Tech years later building this program back up and getting into the final and playing tremendous. These guys were making shots left and right for two defensive teams. 85-77 is a high-scoring affair. So give them credit. And they do get the win. Virginia in overtime. They had to survive, again, pull off a miracle. We saw the week before the miracle against Purdue, as they somehow miraculously forced overtime against them on the final play. And then Auburn, they outscore Auburn 6-1 in the final 7 seconds of the game to win 63-62 in the semifinal. Not much controversy. Of course, you never want to see the foul to decide a game. It was the latest game decided by free throws since Ramil Robinson in Michigan. And again, we talk about that Michigan team because the week before we talked about the Purdue kid breaking Glenn Rice's record for three-point shots made. And again, we see a reference to Michigan in that when they won it against Seton Hall with the Ramil Robinson free throws inside the last 3 seconds of regulation or something. He gets fouled with the second left, and he sinks all 3 free throws. Talk about onions, as Bill Rafferty would say. Holy cow. Mike, did you see any of this, any of the Final Four action? What'd you think?
Yeah, that kid, his uncle, what's his name? What's his name?
Yeah, I should have the kid's name written down, but I don't.
Unbelievable. They were all net.
Automatic, right?
Yeah.
Nothing but nylon. NBN, nothing but nylon. He just got up there and buried him. You hate to see it decided, but it was a foul.
Right.
The guy launched himself into him, didn't let him land, undercut him on the shot. Good job, getting him open for the corner 3. I thought they might try to go for a 2 to tie, but they did decide to go for the win, and he gets the free throw attempts, and he buried all 3 to break Auburn's hearts and win it. And Auburn really, it was going to be a gag job by Virginia because they blew, the 9-point lead in the final 4 minutes of that game, and then all of a sudden they end up with the win in miraculous fashion. I do want to mention Texas Tech knocking off Michigan State 61-51. Coach Izzo, we mentioned comes up short. So Izzo, 1-7 in Final Fours now. Only one championship with 8 trips. He made it to the final game only twice. Doesn't even get to the final game. So not a great record. And if you say Michigan State, a basketball powerhouse against Virginia, Texas Tech, and Auburn, he had to be the favorite to win it, right?
Yeah.
Izzo, not getting it done. Also on the coaching thing, I want to mention Tony Bennett, the son of Dick Bennett, the Wisconsin coach who led his team to the Final Four. So only the second time a father-son coaching duo gets to the Final Four. Who was the others? Any guess?
No.
Big East powerhouse. Destroyers. As in the Hoya Destroyers.
The Thompsons.
John Thompson and JT3. His son, John Thompson III, did get Georgetown into the Final Four as well. They didn't win it. So this was the reverse. John Thompson, the elder, won. And this one, Tony Bennett, the son, won. Locally, we should mention Chris Mullen announced his resignation from St. John's. They had gotten better each year under him. He's saying it's because of the family tragedy. His brother passed away.
Right.
So we'll have to honor that as the reason why and send our best to his family. But it was a little surprising because I thought they were getting better in the 4th year. They made the tournament this year. So that was a little surprising. All right, let's move to the NBA. And speaking of people out, over and out, the legendary Dirk Nowitzki, and he plays his final game for the Dallas Mavericks. One team, one franchise, one legendary player, 21 years.
That's a.
I saw Dirk play live and in person down in Atlanta when I lived down there. That was ages ago, like early 2000s in the early days. And that was when they had Steve Nash, Nick Van Exel, a bunch of other players. I remember that game. They scored like 19 points in about 30 seconds, it seemed, to flip the switch on this close game in the second half. And that was the type of team they had early on. And remember, that was during the time period when they did not, scoring was not up much in the early 2000s and the post Michael Jordan era, remember? They didn't get that done. And here I'm notified via photo of another person over and out. Speaking of shocking, Magic Johnson announces his final game as the executive for the LA Fake Show Lake Show, as McFadden's having a little coughing jack, so we lose him for the show, but it's just Bob and I here. Magic over and out in the Fake Show Lake Show. What is up with that?
And the picture of
Bron.
going, what happened?
Was it my fault? Something I said, maybe?
Yeah.
We'll wait and see what the behind the scenes are with that.
Will we see Bron stay with the Lakers, or will we see
He's
him
locked in with a contract. They'd have to trade him to get him out.
I'm sure he'll try to figure something out.
Magic didn't even tell his boss, Jeannie Buss, that he was going to resign. Showed up at the arena unannounced and said, I'm out. Magic over and out. A no-look pass, perhaps, as Mike's back. Unbelievable. But Dirk Nowitzki, 21 years, 6th all-time leading scorer, the greatest foreign player ever, and got his championship in 2011 after coming up short in that 2006 series against the Heat. Got revenge against Dwayne Wade, also who was over and out, as we mentioned 2 years ago. Last weekend, 2 back-to-back losses, Celtics versus the Heat, to really upend their final chances to get into the playoffs, and that did happen. Celtics kept the Heat out, so Wade is done. His career over, Dirk's career over. We have to wonder where Kemba Walker will go next. His career definitely not over, but their late charge into the playoffs came up short. He did score 43 in what might be his final game as a Hornet. He is a free agent, and he will be sought-after free agent, the all-star starter from this year. And we'll see what happens there. We see a nice shot of Jeremy Lamb as well. Pistons got in on the final day of the playoffs as the Knicks rolled over big time in that final game.
That's my
blowout. And they finished 17-65, worst record in the NBA. The Knicks do. They'll have the best chance for the #1 draft spot. Saturday night or Saturday afternoon, the playoffs get underway. It's the 6 seed Nets at 3 seed Sixers. Magic 7 seed at Raptors #2. Clippers 8 at Warriors 1. So we do not get a Spurs or OKC matchup with the Warriors in that first round, which we thought was going to happen, but things changed in the last 2 weeks drastically. Spurs at #2, Nuggets. Sunday, it's my Celtics hosting the Pacers in the 4 versus 5.
That could be a
Well,
very
not
interesting.
good news for the Celtics as Marcus Smart tore his oblique. He is out for at least the first round, maybe the second round.
Right.
He is the heart and soul of that team. Big blow there. Health and chemistry are the big question marks for the Celtics, and that's a big blow. But I did like what I've seen from Gordon Hayward recently. He definitely looks like he is back and playing much better. OKC at Blazers. Pistons, the 8 seed at the #1 seed Bucks. Bucks do have the best record in all of the NBA. Jazz, Rockets, 5 versus 4. That's going to be an epic battle as well. Major League Baseball, day baseball. How about the Mariners?
Yeah.
Are now 13-2.
Yeah, best
15
record.
straight games, which is a record, hitting a home run in every game to start
Yes.
the year. That's a record. And they won today, 7-6, 10 innings against the Royals. So they are off to a great start. Other day baseball, Reds 5-0 over Marlins, Cleveland 4-0 over Detroit, Oakland beat Baltimore 8-5, Cardinals 11-7 over the Dodgers. Some record-wise stuff as we are running out of time. All right, so we won't get to the records, but what do you feel about your Mets? 5-1 to start. Not a great homestand at the Braves this weekend. 7-4, still in first place though.
Let's hopefully we can stay there.
Red Sox don't have much
Right.
to celebrate except
Yeah,
for they
they-
did get to unveil the banner and the rings and say hello to some old friends. Pedro Martinez was in the house. Manny Manram finally came back, his first time back to Fenway.
Right.
So that was good to see those guys, but then of course they lost a game in which a player from the opposing team stole home base. That's how bad things are going for the 3-9 defending champions. Worst ever start by a defending champion since the Miami
But things will
Marlins.
get better. Things will always get better.
I'm going on vacation next week. We're not here, and hopefully when we get back, the Red Sox will be maybe 500.
Right.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Happy spring break to everybody.
Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter to everybody. We will see you. Adios. Next time.
She's that dream of my desire. She's the one fueling the fire. I see her standing there wanting lust with the air. I feel hesitant, but wedging just ain't part of my master plan. Do you feel